Hey, for Friday, October 23rd, 2020, this is the Pro and Con Show, and I'm your host, Michael James Ott. As always, welcome to the show. Um, the countdown is on. My last show is I committed to doing these shows through Election Day on November 3rd, 2020. And so the countdown is on, and this is show 12 on our way down to show 1, which is the last show on November 3rd. So the purpose of the show, there's hundreds of these things in the history now, can be found either here on Facebook or back on YouTube. And the intent is, I hope, step by step, more and more people might view them and start doing what I'm saying, which is spending more time being less aggressive with each other and being more compassionate and understanding about these major issues that face us. And so recently here with a new Supreme Court appointment, the topic, because the Supreme Court is going to become more of a quote unquote conservative court, the topic of abortion is one of the major reasons why so-called liberals are worried about this confirmation. And so in the last show, I talked about how or why this debate and social and political argument continues and foments in a huge way. It's because we just, on a national level, we refuse to stop and say, okay, we're going to treat this like the serious issue that it is, and on a national level, we're going to talk about this. We're going to, even though this is a topic that no one likes talking about, and I'm sure people watching this video, or many people won't watch it because of the topic. But I'm sorry, life is not a game show. Life is not, rom-com movies and stuff like that. Life is real, and this abortion issue is a major sticking point amongst us as a nation. And we need to step by step talk about this, and I would offer finally resolve it, or at least resolve it to a place where we can legislate it and then monitor that outcome. So last show, I talked about kind of this convoluted cloud of legal things where there's not really any clarity, and why that's causing a lot of debate and ongoing problems, and especially because our two political parties, trying to control their tribes or cults, just simplify this to, you're a baby murderer versus you won't let women have any choice, okay? And they just polarize it that way, and then they push those hot buttons and they keep everybody separated. But we've got to do more than that. There's 340 million people in this country, and we all have varying views on this. And a lot of that variation comes from we've all walked very different paths in our lives, and we have different understandings of the information, so we need to come to some common ground. So today's show is kind of the very beginning, the Cliff Notes version of trying to establish some common ground, okay? So basically, there's one true fact that's true about us as a species. And it's people like having sex, okay? It's true. And you can rail against that. You can say it isn't true. You can say that, people are, can control this and stuff. And, to some degree they can. But the biological drive, and then just the fact that it's pleasurable and stuff like that, human beings like having sex. So that's true. And we know it's true. I'll give you just one argument, is that, this is how procreation happens. This is how we multiply. And so those people that maybe they are born with a gene or something that says that they don't enjoy having sex, well, then guess what? They don't have sex. Then there's no creation of additional people like that, and that gene or that variant doesn't continue. Okay. So people like having sex. That's one thing that's true. Okay. And then the other thing that I think, again, with the pushing of the hot buttons and baby killers and all this kind of stuff, all the rhetoric that spits out there is, I think there's actually a lot of people that think that abortion is somehow a mandatory thing in some cases. So no, when you talk about abortion and the right to have an abortion, or these clinics and things like that would be available for having abortions, it's never mandated. It's a consensual thing. So, and by the way, when I say about consensual, I also want to mention that I'm a man talking about this topic, and I don't feel very comfortable about that at all. And the reason is that I can't have a baby, okay? And I can't continue our species because I can't have a baby. Women, as much as, and we need to, consider men and women being equal and stuff like that, there are some things where we just aren't the same. We just will never be the same. It's just that way. And one of those things is a woman can have a child, can carry a child, and a man cannot. And so this issue about choice and abortion and stuff like that, and carrying a fetus to full term and all these things, these are things that affect women only. And so women need to be, and so I really, a woman should be having this discussion right now, I think, and hopefully in the future would be true, let's talk about all the pro and con, good and bad, for and against, about this issue, women's choice versus abortion, and get it all out there and spend quality time, several days, talking about, having different people presenting their different viewpoints and stuff like that, which again, I'm going to try to do a cliff notes of some of that, but we need to do it on a national level, and it needs to be led by and focused on women and women making this choice, and setting the course, okay? And so then you have this, and I talked about it in the last show, there's this definition of human life, and when in the spectrum does human life begin? And of course, in that spectrum, and one of the reasons why people are very emotional about it is because of our love of human life. We place human life especially in this country, we place human life on a very high level, and I would agree that's what we should be doing. And then so the question is, if you're having an abortion, at what point are you ending a potential human life? And this is, a tough thing, again, to talk about. Let's just, I'm going to spend the last few minutes talking about reasons why women give for having an abortion. And they basically, I'm just going to read them through very quickly, but so there's financial problems, there's a timing, it's not right in their place in life. They're worried about their partner or spouse. They're worried about their other children. So maybe they already have several children and don't want to have another one. Disruptive to future plans. So maybe they have this view of where they want to go. They're not prepared for parenthood. There could be health-related issues for them. So the woman, and by the way, a woman's body, having a child is for every child, every pregnancy, every child. This is a huge health thing for women. It's really a very powerful acting event on women's health, and can be detrimental. They can't provide for a baby, so again, that's kind of financial. They themselves, the potential mother, lacks maturity or independence. Then there's influence by friends or family or society. This is the taboo kind of thing that often happens. Or they just simply don't want a baby, and they don't want to give a baby up for adoption. So these are the reasons that women provide for why they have abortions. And so just a heads up on a future show, just a glimpse into a proposal is, rather than make abortions illegal, why don't we address these issues and make it so women don't want to have abortions? So how do you do that? Well, again, we'll talk about this at some length here in the next shows, but one is you focus on women's health and the option for contraception. Okay, so you prevent pregnancy, and you look at that and work on that very hard, and then you also look at how can we address these issues for once a woman is pregnant. How do we address these issues so that she doesn't want to have an abortion? As opposed to, right now, for a lot of these reasons, obviously these reasons are given because they cause women to want to have an abortion. So we can, as a society, we could work with women who are pregnant and work very hard on giving them the support so they freely decide, no, I really don't want to have an abortion. I'm okay carrying this to term. And so that's going to be a discussion in the next show. And one last thing that I want to say in this show is, I've looked up, and there's somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million abortions in this country every year. And I don't think I would say there's very, very, very few people on any side of this issue that would say that that's a good thing. I don't think there's anybody anywhere. Well, there's certainly very, 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 very few, a handful of people out of 340 million that thinks that that's holistically a good thing. So I think that people want, options. Women want options around controlling, and in my view, rightly so. They want options around controlling their future and having choice. And those same women probably don't want to have abortions just generically, but seem to be, step by step, they get painted into a corner and have to have an abortion. And other people who generally, don't care about women's choice and would say, sorry, you don't have that choice. They would also obviously say that somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million abortions is way too many. But again, most of them would think that there were certain, and depending on their viewpoint, maybe it's very specific, but certain conditions where abortions might be fine, just a very, very limited role. But anyway, it's all resolved in my mind if we take the time to think this through and address these multiple issues and make it so women feel like they have, and truly do have, not just feel, but truly do have, lots of very good options that make them not want to have abortions. Okay, so the next show is coming up. This is the Pro and Con Show. My name is Michael James Ott, and until the next show, bye for now.